For months, we've been at Shelter Bay Marina in Panama, working on our boat while we watch our friends leave to transit the Panama Canal before heading off on a Pacific crossing. We also have been preparing to cross the Pacific with some major projects and upgrades to end the summer. We've been doing maintenance to make sure everything is working smoothly and attending webinars on weather and logistics. But as rule number 53 in Norm's book says, sailors make goals, not plans. Well, everybody's leaving.
Guess we have no more friends now.
So, we're watching everybody leave to go through the canal. We've been waiting for our turn, and
It's not here yet.
it's not here yet. So, let's go down to the boat and we'll talk about why we're not going yet. One of the biggest reasons people stop cruising is health issues.
And frankly, that's the reason why we retired early, because our goals were to get all the way around the world on our sailboat. And it's hard to do as you get older.
And the reason people quit cruising when they do have health issues is when you're cruising, the nicer places to go are the places that are more remote. And the places that are more remote don't have any healthcare facilities. And also when you're cruising, you're pretty much constantly moving.
When you're not in one place for a very long time, it's very hard to manage chronic health problems because you don't have any consistency in the medical care that you have access to or can seek.
So our plans were to transit the Panama Canal and then cross the Pacific Ocean, and over the next 9 to 10 months end up in New Zealand.
And in my book on the rules of sailing, rule number 53 states that sailors don't have plans, they have goals.
Yep, and the reason our plans have changed this time is I've been having some health issues. So about 2 months ago, my feet started swelling, I started getting tired, and I started losing muscle. So after about a month of that, hoping it would just go away, I finally went to a doctor and we found out I have hyperthyroidism. It's pretty easy to treat, but it's going to take several months of blood tests and dialing in the medication. And going across the Pacific Ocean to a remote place is not somewhere where we're going to find facilities to do blood tests or be able to see doctors.
We're very fortunate to be here in Panama, where they have some terrific medical care resources and facilities. A lot of expats from the U.S. come down here to the greater Panama City area because of those resources, because of the access to doctors and medicines. So we're very fortunate to be where we are to help Kathy treat this issue.
And next year we'll look at crossing into French Polynesia. So we can share some of our experiences with healthcare in the Caribbean and Panama. We have had a few minor incidences. The first one was in the Bahamas.
That's true. Swimming in the Exumas, I accidentally stepped on an urchin with both of my feet, getting plenty of spines, and that forced us to divert from where we were in a remote natural seawater park and had to go to the closest staffed island, which was Staniel Key.
Yeah, luckily it was only about 15 miles away. The way healthcare works in the Bahamas is the islands that are somewhat populated typically all have a clinic. The clinic is usually staffed by a nurse, and you can walk in, and I think you pay $100 cash. They don't take credit cards. And you can see the nurse, and then anything else is going to be an extra charge. If you want to see a doctor, the doctors usually visit these small clinics once a week, kind of on a rotation schedule. They go to the different islands.
You don't have access to very in-depth resources, blood tests,
Yeah, I don't think they had
lab,
any capabilities for X-ray. I don't even know if they. I don't
no
think they had any X-ray
X-rays.
machine.
Yeah,
They may have
no.
had an ultrasound.
Yeah, for those you had to go to one of the major islands. So
And I got to visit an emergency room in the Dominican Republic. All I did was fall and I dislocated my finger, but I needed to get it reset. So we were advised to go to a private hospital in the Dominican Republic. When we got to the emergency room, they immediately asked for $500 charge on our credit card. The doctor saw me within, I don't know, 2 hours probably. They straightened out the finger and released me. The whole thing, I think, cost probably under $2,000.
it was about $2,000, and again, it was above and beyond any insurance that we took out um, because cruisers' health insurance tends to have very high deductibles.
Yep. So, and my finger is still kind of crooked. When we were in Colombia, we went to a dentist and an eye doctor.
We did.
So that was, I think the dentist was around $50 for each of us. Really wasn't as thorough as a U.S. cleaning, in my
Yes.
opinion. And then we also went to an eye doctor, just got eye exams that were part of the cost of getting prescription eyewear. And that, of course, brings us to Panama, where I've now seen a couple of doctors. I first saw a doctor at Pacifica Salud Hospital, which is a large private hospital, kind of caters to expats. And I saw a vascular surgeon there to look at my legs because they were swelling. And he also did an ultrasound. I was pretty happy that I was able to get what I needed done pretty much the same day. So the service was pretty quick. It was out of pocket. It wasn't that cheap. The visit for the doctor was $100 there. And then I got an ultrasound on my veins, which was $400. And the next thing I did was I went to a mini-med clinic, and those are kind of like an urgent care.
Yep.
But at the mini-med clinics, they also do blood draws. They can do X-rays, ultrasounds. So there they did a blood workup. I was pretty happy. I got results about 24 hours later, and was able to go right in to the clinic the next day to see the doctor. And then they had an ultrasound done of my thyroid that day. So what we found out the issue is that I have hyperthyroidism. So they've already got me on medication, and this all only took a few days. So I'm pretty happy with that clinic. The doctor visit there was only $23.50. The blood work was about $100 per blood draw, as was the ultrasound there.
Yeah, it seems like that, and again, we're not going to comment on the U.S. healthcare system, but it seems like what we're getting charged is exactly what we would pay after deductible or in the U.S.
It was about the same as it was a little less actually than today's copayment in the U.S. We're still going to transit the Panama Canal. We're probably going to wait a little bit longer, go to the sandblast, enjoy ourselves. I'm still having to go back about every few weeks for some blood tests. So we're going to kind of stay close to healthcare facilities for a little while. We'll get over to the Pacific side, though, at some point this summer, and we'll have some fun exploring the Pacific side of Panama.
Yeah, I think that, and the Pacific side's supposed to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the regions, as you're in this part of the world, that is don't miss. There's many islands, there's many beaches. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. And as we went through the Caribbean, but we moved pretty fast. I think we're looking forward to spending a little bit of time on anchor in beautiful places and really exploring some of these lowly inhabited islands with white sand beaches
and surfing.
and a little bit more surfing.
Yeah.
And while we're waiting to transit, we still have another week or two to a couple weeks to go. While we have some medical appointments, why don't we go for a couple weeks to the San Blas Islands?
All right, let's go.